Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Abelson and I'm the Director of Programs at the League of Chicago Theaters. I want to thank you for joining us for the March 2023 episode of the League of Chicago Theaters Industry Podcast. The League is a nonprofit organization that is here to support, promote, and advocate for our membership of over 200 performing arts organizations across Chicagoland. This monthly podcast is for industry professionals and theater lovers to showcase the amazing performances and programs being created by Chicago's passionate theater community. Each month we'll bring you updates, interviews, and performances from around the league, starting with a welcome from our Executive Director, Marissa Lynn Ford. Thank you for joining us and keep up the good work.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first podcast. I'm so excited to talk to all of you about what we're doing here at the League offices and the exciting things that have happened in my first 5 months here at the organization. First, I just want to celebrate with all of you who have participated in Chicago Theater Week. We have had the highest theater week ever with selling over 20,000 tickets. We're so excited about that. And those tickets, 60% of those patrons were new to the theater they attended. So we're really excited for that news. Congratulations to all of you. And we were excited to launch Chicago Theater Week Continued this year, which was also a hit. So we just wrapped up Chicago Theater Week. We're gearing up for the next big thing coming, which will be the job fair. We want to have a job fair for our industry to show all the opportunities on stage and off, and people can get interviewed, get hired, get flyers, have panel discussions. So look for more information on how you can participate in the job fair forthcoming. Next, we have the ComEd grant. That application has launched, and so I'm so excited for us to continue to look through those applications and receive those. Please don't miss the deadline, as it is very important to get it in on time. Another exciting grant that is coming our way is the Illinois Creative Recovery Grant Program. This is a $50 million grant to arts organizations from the state of Illinois, and the League is partnering with Arts Alliance Illinois to help you get all of the information you need to apply, as well as get your application in. From our community meet and greets, everyone has been interested in coming together more as an industry, and I hope you'll all join us on April 6th at Steppenwolf Theater, where we'll be seeing Congo Square Theater's performance of How Blood Go. This will be an opportunity to mingle with your fellow industry makers. There'll be food and drinks, and the ticket of just $15 goes directly to Congo Square Theater. So please come out, join us. I'll be there. We'll all be there, and we want to see you there. I'm so glad to have been here 5 months. I can't wait for all the things that we have forthcoming, and I hope to see you in the audience soon. Thank you.
Next up is our In the Community segment, where we interview members of the Chicago theater community about their upcoming programs. Today we'll be sharing excerpts from an interview with Jarrell L. Henderson, a director and puppeteer based in Chicago. Jarrell was awarded the 2022 Samuel G. Roberson Jr. Fellowship Award from the League of Chicago Theaters. This fellowship will help support Jarrell with a theatrical collaboration titled American Myth Crossroads that he is creating in collaboration with Free Street Theater. Jarrell talks about how he came to Chicago, his introduction to puppetry, and the 3 segments he is creating for this exciting new production.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first League of Chicago Theaters Industry Podcast. I want to introduce you to Jarrell L. Henderson, the recipient of the 2022 Samuel G. Roberson Jr. Fellowship Award, which is a program administered by the League of Chicago Theaters and generously funded by the McMullen and Kime Foundation. We're just going to talk to Jarrell about his project and other things going on. So we're just going to get right into it. Just to start, you're from Philadelphia, Is that correct?
South Philadelphia.
South Philadelphia. What brought you to Chicago from Philadelphia?
The short answer is graduate school. The longer answer was I was really interested in being a director because I the first half of my life I was a performer. I sang a lot and performed and acted whenever I could, or would get cast in school plays or whatever. But as I got into my 20s, that it was no longer yielding joy. There's the only way I can put it. Like, I just didn't want to do that anymore, but I didn't want to quit theater. And so teaching kind of led to directing, some guidance from some other folks. And so I started directing around Philadelphia as often as I can, and then I felt like I hit a ceiling in terms of the opportunity for growth. Like, I know that I am at a disadvantage because I'm not as trained as some other people. So you gotta like get into a program or have someone bring you in, and so you can get your hands dirty and learn. Because you can read and read and read, but you know, as all practitioners know, sometimes you just got to get your hands dirty and make mistakes on your own.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was looking to do, but I didn't find that wasn't a possibility in Philadelphia. And so I began to look for other areas that I thought that would be a possibility. Grad school is a natural thought outlet for that time period. So as I'm thinking about moving, I'm also thinking about graduate school. And Chicago was a really great location for a couple reasons. One, it's a theater town. People who live in Chicago and visit Chicago love theater.
It's true.
It is a part of how the city how the city vibrates energy. It's really, really cool to live in a city that's like, yeah, you know, like people just go to theater here. Cool. I can live and work here. And also the artistic community in Chicago is really second to none. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's called the second city, but some of the best performers I've ever seen perform have been on stages in Chicago. I mean, that's true in other spaces, but I don't live in other spaces. I live here. And so just kind of that whole vibe and atmosphere, a place where I could come and grow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could be a director and then go into puppetry, and there's going to be a segment in Chicago that's like, cool, let's talk about puppetry. Yeah. And then we can talk about direction, as opposed to, well, that's not what you do. You do this. So you have to do this if you want to work. Or, you know, I don't understand how that makes sense when it's being applied to this. So so we can't work with you because, you know, does that mean that you would want to put puppets in, you know, Measure for Measure? It's just like, no, I would direct it with humans. Right. I would do another show that had puppets in it, unless I was specifically doing a puppet version of Measure for Measure. You know, but just the ability to explore
felt like there was more
segments.
Openness to stretch your wings a little bit and try different things.
I could grow into the kind of artist I wanted to become for me, not the kind of artist that the society thought that I should be or were willing to accept.
That's fantastic. Yeah, well, I'll jump ahead then, just because you mentioned puppetry. How did you discover puppetry for the first time, and what has kept you interested and fascinated by that for all this time?
Jim Henson. My experience with puppetry begins and ends with Jim Henson, mostly because of the time period in which I was born into. I'm an old millennial, so I came into the world in the early 80s. By the time I started to notice the world around me.
We're called geriatric millennials.
Oh, are we? I'll take it. Listen, I'll take all the discounts I can get my hands on at this point.
I haven't found the discount yet.
Not yet.
But we should start.
So we have the tag of being geriatric millennial?
You're going to call us geriatric.
None of the benefits.
We need a senior discount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but basically, in between the Muppet Show, which was playing in reruns at that time, Sesame Street, which was a huge part of my early childhood just because it was on TV all the time, Fraggle Rock, which was a really popular, children's television show at that time.
Amazing.
And the Muppet Universe, on top of the film Labyrinth, which was a major, major part of my early childhood, that film. But it never occurred to me. And Lamb Chop. Can't forget about Lamb Chop. It's not Jim Henson, but it was I used to watch that show, before school and after school, depending on the day when I was a small child. But it never occurred to me that I could be a puppeteer, so it just kind of lived in the back of my head as something that, oh yeah, I like it when I get to do that. I like it when I watch that.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So it begins with boats moving through water, because that's how most of us originally came here. If, with the exception of the indigenous population who were here already, and just not even ignored, just anyway. So, this becomes an opportunity to lean into kind of a visual vocabulary that leans into the history of the era of enslavement without retelling those stories. Because I feel like those stories have been told so often, especially up until this point in history, that I don't want to retell the story the same way. And so at one point, the boat begins to take on kind of this otherworldly look. And that otherworldly look grows and becomes more and more inhumane, so that instead of focusing in on the specifically the pain of the people who were inside of those ships, it's taking a look at the spirit of ugliness that was actually carrying them over there. Because for me, that's actually the part of American history that needs to be investigated. As much.
Moving into the second part.
Yeah.
I left my note cards over there. What's the name of the second section?
The second section, I forget what I wrote in the thing, actually. I've actually reworked it.
You had it as The New World.
Oh, The New World,
Yes.
that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that was going to be, I don't know why I just got real loud. I got excited. Yeah, because that was going to be where I actually put myths. Right, because that was the first. That's why it was an important distinction for me. The first American Myth project was just American myths that I staged in shadow. 2 Native American myths. The Legend of Devil's Tower. The second one was The Devil and Tom Walker by Washington Irving, and the third one was How Jack Beat the Devil by Zora Neale Hurston. And I just staged those in shadows. So this one I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So instead of doing the New World, which I wrote, which is like, here's Johnny Appleseed, or here's how that one. I want to create an original American myth and then tie in aspects of the older myths into those so that the audience can hopefully see how a lot of things that we talked about in the past in terms of myth, how we talk about each other, how we think about ourselves at like a deep primal level.
Yeah.
How some of those things are still existing. So it's called, and then the third section, I don't know yet. The third section, I just know it's like visual collage because it's a little bit of the beginning, it's a little bit of the second half, and it's a little bit of where we could go or what that could turn out like. It's kind of like one of those like AI things that like you put a bunch of images in and it just kind of blends the images and it's like, boom, this is what you got.
Because you talked about aspiring for it to be, you've had this collective experience and a collective remembering. And I believe you talked about, you want to be a collective sort of imagination, imagining of the next chapter of the story.
I wanted to provoke the audience to really think about how everything that we are and everything that we do every day is an amalgamation of years and years and years and years and years of learned training, years and years and years and years of education, years and years and years and years of generations of prejudices and joys and little tricks that like our grandparents figured out that have like moved through time. When you get sick, you choose this. When you get upset, you do this. How all of those things, we have more control over how we use the trauma and joy that we've gained through life to move forward than we give ourselves credit for. And when we know how to use that power, which is already in ourselves, that's when we can actually start doing some good. We can actually start figuring out how to come together. Because there's always going to be aspects of life in the world that separate us. That is just part of what it means to live on the human plane. There are differences, but the differences don't come close to what's similar. But we get hung up in the in-between because we start fearing what we're going to lose more than we start feeling what we're going to gain. So if we can create art that helps guide collective audiences towards here's how we gain together. Here's how we gain together. This is why coming to these events are a good thing. You can encourage it, again, creating invitations so that people can see themselves or ask themselves in something and hopefully be inspired. You're not just here to sit back and relax and watch a TV show. You're here because, or a show in general, you're here because I'm looking to engage you. And I'm looking to provoke you. And I got some things that I need to say about history that I haven't been able to say yet. Like it is agenda driven because I don't know how to create a project that isn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is change driven because I don't know how to create a project at this time in space. I don't want to tell a simple love story. I can do that 10 years from now when we've had a collection of presidents who don't want to burn the damn country down.
That would be helpful.
You know what I mean? So this is how we can create art for now. That hopefully, like a lot of art that was created for now, can stand the test of time.
Well, that'll lead me to my next question, just to talk a little bit about the grant, which is a very unique and wonderful funding opportunity that provides some money to the partner organization to help support the project, but also gives money directly to the artist. And I'm just curious, beyond the obvious of the help of the financial support, how have you been able to come at this project differently because of this grant? And I ask only because things are so in flux in the funding world, and we'd love to know if there's something special and unique about this project that other people should think about emulating.
Yeah, so one of the greatest things that it did for me, besides the obvious, was it became a calling card to other spaces that myself as an artist was worth betting on. And
I'm not sure if you can talk about it, but you received some additional funding.
Yeah, from the Henson Foundation.
For this, for the American Myth.
Yeah.
Crossroads project.
Crossroads.
Absolutely. So making sure this is going to be a whole series, and I want to be the one who got it right.
Yeah. So I was able to build. It also gave me a foundation that I could then build on top of, right? So these folks have already invested in it. You wouldn't be the only investor. Do you think that this is something else that you would like to invest your money in? And actually, the League of Chicago Theater's Robertson Fellowship, Sam, God rest his soul, Sam actually brought me back to my beginnings, because that's how, I had already been in conversation with the Henson Foundation, but it's this project in Sam's memory that actually connects me directly to the legacy of Jim Henson, because the foundation was created out of his passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a way to help build the next generation of puppeteers.
Yeah. And just so we know, what are the next steps for American Myth Crossroads? When do we think we might be able to see it? How can we support the project?
Gotcha. Thank you. It's going to happen this year, because it needs to happen this year.
That's right.
That is a part. That's a part of the package.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I love deadlines.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you want to get this for 10 years if you didn't give me a deadline. But it would be really good in 10 years.
I'm sure.
October of this year. I don't know how the exact dates. We're actually figuring out the exact dates, like last week, this week, next week.
Okay.
We're throwing them around, but it'll be sometime early to mid or mid to late October.
All right.
And what else did you ask? Just ways of being in support. Like, if this is something that you're interested in, just like come show up, support it. Advertise on social media, put it in your story. That's how I put things that I don't really have time to like comment on a lot, because I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. So I just put it in an Instagram story. That way people have access to the information. Just like, don't sit on it. And if it's something that you're interested in, talk about it and research it, or reach out and ask questions.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an amazing project. If you go, you will see the show. You can see Jarrell's work. You can learn more about Free Street Theater, one of our amazing league members.
They're amazing. They've been around since '69.
Since 1969.
Doing community theater, which is theater based in communities. The best kind of community theater.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I love it. I love the work that they do.
Fantastic. What is your Instagram handle?
All right, two. One is Jarrell L. Henderson, which is like, I'm a director. I'm a puppeteer. I have a dog. The Boston Terrier named Hagrid. Another conversation.
Yeah.
And then the second one is Black Theater Vinyl Archive. And that's my private collection of vinyl records dedicated to musical theater in the African diaspora. So a lot of original Broadway soundtracks, a lot of soundtracks and scores, original Broadway cast albums and scores from all over the world. The African diaspora means the world.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Jarrell, thanks for being a part of this first interview. I had a blast, as always, talking to you, and good luck with the project.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me here for this event. I have also had a blast.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Next up is our Fresh Faces segment, where you'll get to know some of the people working behind the scenes to help our industry thrive. We'll interview administrators, technicians, and creators across our membership about their careers, organizations, and artistic pursuits. This month, we went down to meet Alexander Utz, the marketing manager at the Fine Arts Building.
Hi everyone, this is our Fresh Faces segment. I'm Haley Ross, I'm the marketing director at the League of Chicago Theaters, and I'm here at the Fine Arts Building with Alexander Utz, the marketing manager here. So Alexander, first just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here.
Sure, so I'm Alexander Utz. I'm the marketing manager at the Fine Arts Building, as well as the Studebaker Theater downstairs, so kind of all-encompassing marketing manager for the space.
Perfect. And give us a little bit of an idea where we are standing. We're in front of this beautiful mural of the Fine Arts Building. So tell us a little bit about this exhibit.
Sure. So we are standing on the 5th floor of the Fine Arts Building. We are here in one of 2 brand new, free, open to the public exhibits about the Fine Arts Building's history. And one of my favorite things about this space is this model that we had built. It's a scale model at 1/2 inch of the Fine Arts Building, kind of taking a look into some different studios, taking a look at all the different sorts of art and art making that goes on in this building and has gone on since 1898.
Awesome. Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the exciting performances that will be coming to the Fine Arts Building in the coming months?
Yeah, the Studebaker Theater just finished its renovation last year, so we're really excited about that. We've got a whole slate of exciting events coming up, including ongoing performances of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me from NPR Thursday nights. We've got 12 weeks of a new musical called Personality about the R&B singer Lloyd Price coming up in the spring and summer. We also have Who's Live Anyway, we have Chicago Repertory Ballet, we have the Chicago Academy for the Arts, and the list goes on and on and on. That's all on our website.
What a great variety of performances coming up.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how members of the community could take advantage of the space here at the Fine Arts Building.
Oh yeah, it's a great space. It's a lovely community here. So there's office space that folks could rent, individual studio space. We also are opening a new rehearsal and workshop performance space called the Little Studio on the 7th floor this spring. We also have our Annex Studios, which are 3 dance rehearsal spaces that can be used for events, rehearsals, classes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we have space available, and we love to grow our community. So we really encourage people to check out the website and visit.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you found yourself in this vein of the performing arts industry and marketing.
Yeah, so I started as an actor and a playwright. I moved to Chicago about 6 years ago, and this opportunity came up about 1.5 years ago, which is a while. I've been on this job a little longer than I thought, but it kind of was at the intersection of performing arts with the Studebaker Theater and history, because it's this beautiful historic building, and architecture, and all of these things that I really enjoyed, as well as storytelling and graphic design, which are all these things that I kind of was bringing from my background in theater, and it all kind of melded into this one opportunity. And when it came up, I was just like, that sounds exciting. That sounds like a cool thing to be a part of, kind of this revitalization of this 125-year-old building.
Awesome. Great. And tell us a little bit about your artistic pursuits outside of marketing for the Fine Arts Building.
Yeah, I've got a few. So I run a small theater company, non-equity storefront theater company called Avalanche Theater. We develop new plays with local playwrights. So we take Chicago playwrights, we work on their plays in our next draft series, develop them, and present workshop readings of them. So that's what we're working on right now. I'm also a playwright myself. So I've got a couple of world premieres coming up this year around the Chicago area, so super excited about that. I also act, and I play in a band, and then I find time to sleep as well. So.
Great.
Yeah.
And lastly, let's just hear a nice, cool, fun fact or something really cool about the Fine Arts Building that not everyone would know.
Yeah, so my personal favorite fun fact is just starting at the beginning. So in 1885, this building was built as the Studebaker Carriage Company's manufacturing and showroom. So the old Studebaker Theater, which is 125 years old, is actually named after the Studebaker Carriage Company because the building was transformed into artist studios in 1898. Studebaker outgrew the building and they had to move to a different location, and this became the Fine Arts Building. So that's a fun little detail. My favorite fact about that is that the showroom was on the ground floor where the Studebaker Theater is now, but the way that the carriages were built in a skyscraper like this was they were assembled starting at the top and working their way down.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and then they ended up in the showroom. So that's my favorite little fun fact about the history of this building, predating it becoming an artist studio building in 1898.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about the Fine Arts Building and the Studebaker Theater, and make sure you come check it out. And thank you so much, Alexander.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Next up is our Art in the Office series, where we head out into offices and rehearsal rooms across Chicago to preview some of the exciting work coming soon to our stages. This month we visited the Chicago Opera Theater to hear a selection from their upcoming production of The Life and Deaths of Alan Turing.
Hello, I'm Lydia Yankowska, the Morrison Genius Music Director at Chicago Opera Theater, and on March 23rd and 25th, we're presenting composer Justine Chen and librettist David Sympatiko's The Life and Deaths of Alan Turing, which explores the life of the great mathematician who's now credited with being the forefather for the modern computer. Today, you will hear mezzo-soprano Pauline Tan, who is a young artist here at Chicago Opera Theater, and pianist Josh Quinn, who is our pianist for the production and a former COT young artist. And Pauline is covering the role of Joan Clark. Joan Clark was Alan Turing's best friend, and at one point his fiancée. And at this point in the opera, Alan has just told Joan that he can no longer get married to her. And this is her response. Welcome, Pauline.
Alan, use that extraordinary brain and consider it's no risk, it's win-win. An acceptable cover used by men and their wives. An acceptable cover for men and their wives, with room on the side for a friend or a lover. Or not, I don't care. I love you. Think of your work, Alan. Why risk it all? When all you need do is play a simple game of imitation, a classic equation. If you say yes, then you may work without fear of those waiting to judge and condemn. A harbor, a haven, a family, a home, a mate, a partner to warm the chill of encroaching fate. Think of us, Alan, a near perfect match. A near perfect match. A near perfect match.
Thank you so much for joining us for this inaugural podcast episode from the League of Chicago Theaters. If you are in the Chicago theater industry and you want to learn more about our events and programs, head to leagueofchicagotheaters.org. If you are a theater lover looking for things to experience, head over to chicagoplays.com for a comprehensive list of all the work going on at our member theaters. You can also head to hottix.org to look for half-price tickets across the city. If you are inspired by the work that you heard about today, please do not hesitate to go to chicagoplays.com/donate to help support our efforts. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next month.